Yo, what's up guys, John Boogle here, and here we are with the Relic Bun in-depth guide, aka an ancient curse. Let's hop right into it. So the first lineup we're going to go through is of course without Cyberpunk. Now, make sure you have Manic Eraser at level 30. I mean, it's kind of sad if you don't have Manic Eraser at level 30 at this point in the game. Eraser Cat, ours is pretty high level, but you don't need it to be that high. Plus 50, plus 60 is enough. Now Modern Cat, this is a cat you get from beating the Relic Cyclone, or the Prime Cyclone as I like to call it. It is a very straightforward stage. You do need Rodeo for that stage with target Relic talent, so keep that in mind if you do go for that stage, and the true form is pretty easy to get. So if you do have access to get this true form, I highly recommend it because it definitely does power creep this stage, and the revenge stage is very easy if you have units like, of course, Slapsticks and any other anti-relic units. Thaumaturge, this is a very important unit, especially in the beginning of the level. It helps you stack a lot easier, makes your life just so much easier in the beginning, so highly recommend bringing Thaumaturge. Don't need any talents. Manic Macho Legs, make sure you do have it at a decent level. Level 30 is enough, but it won't get the job done sometimes. So if you want to do this consistently, I do recommend getting Manic Macho Legs above the level 33 mark, level 35. If you want to go above and beyond, level 40 is great. Zamboni, once again, doesn't have to be a high level. Level 30 works just fine, but level 40 is nice. Now Rodeo, this is the main unit in this lineup, and if you couldn't tell already, you're gonna need that target relic talent on Rodeo because Mecha Bun is pretty easy to outrange even with its omnistrike, but Relic Bun has a bigger omnistrike and it reaches up to 300 range, so there isn't many good units that can outrange Relic Bun and crowd control them at the same time, so Rodeo is really the solid option, standing at 320 range. Maglev, this is a really nice way to get cash because cash can become an issue in this level with the small amount of peons it does spawn in the stage, and you don't need to have it at level 40, but if you are using level 30 you can use Bullet Train. We're just using Maglev because we do have it at a higher level. Now Mina, this is the backbone to this lineup because the weaken against relic enemies is very helpful in the stage, and Mina is essentially a requirement without Cyberpunk because it is very hard to crowd control Relic Bun without Cyberpunk and Crimson Mina. Also, Immune to Curse, a pretty helpful ability because if your Rodeo doesn't have at least 1 or 2 resist curse talents, it can become pretty rough, and the last unit in the lineup is pretty much a filler, but Awakened Urun does help a lot with its knockback, and of course it's immune to curse as well, so it is pretty helpful in the stage. But if you have any other Ubers that are very nice, you can bring those, and if you don't have Awakened Urun, you can use other legends, but make sure they are true formed because you need those anti-relic abilities, and Musashi is very nice for this stage with its freeze, so yeah, crowd control is a must. In short, the main 2 units you want to have is Rodeo with target relic and of course Crimson Mina. Rodeo doesn't have to have any resist curse talents, but 1 or 2 does help definitely. Like in this recording, our Rodeo has a level 3 resist curse, so it did help out a bit. Now power-ups, don't need any power-ups at all, but Sniper Cat does help if you do not have stuff like Modern Cat. Now the strategy to the level, of course, is to stack Mina. You want to have at least 2, maybe 3 if you can. Get those stacked up, and that helps greatly in the level because once again, Relic Bun is pretty hard to crowd control, so anything helps. Now the perfect positioning you want to get for stacking Mina is right here. Now a good way to measure this is the Doge. He will be slightly in front of that pillar right there, and that is the perfect position to stall the Doges at. Now a level 30 Manic Eraser is perfectly fine alone stalling 1 Relic Doge, but when 2 comes out, that is when you want to switch it up. So before the second one does arrive, send out Thaumaturge to weaken one of the Relic Doges, and that allows your stallers to stay alive a little bit longer, making it easier to stall both of the Relic Doges at once. And this is when you start sending out both of your Wildcats, because at this point Manic Eraser won't be enough, even with one of the Relic Doges weakened. Now routinely send out of course that Zamboni to get a nice hit in, and of course stand some ground in case you do mess up somehow. But the difficult part is of course not to overpush, because once you overpush, you ruin your positioning, and that pretty much ruins stacking Mina. So if you've stacked Mina on Little Cat before, this should be pretty straightforward. Now, of course, if your levels are lower, keep in mind that it might take a little bit longer to take out the doges, and they might start to stack up. And when that does happen, don't stress out too much. Just send out another thaumaturge cat or two and continue stalling. If it does come to a dire situation and you don't want to risk losing your Mina stack, you can of course send out modern cat every now and then. Now there's also another problem. If your levels are a bit too high, it becomes a lot more difficult to stall the doges without killing them too quickly. And that's when you really want to watch how many wall cats you send out, how many thaumaturges you have on the field, and of course cycling Zamboni. If you do that too much, you're going to kill the doges eventually, and using your Thunderbolt, that can also slowly kill the doges pretty easily. Now this run, as you can see, we did overpush a bit, but we do have 2 Mina stacked up, and 2 is enough, but 3 is the solid option. So our third one was pretty close to recharging, so I guess I said we could hold this out a little bit longer, but stop, because once you start advancing and your Mina start moving forward, and once you reach the halfway point right here, that is when you want to start spamming Rodeo, spamming, of course, Thaumaturge, and once you get close to the base, that is when you just start spamming everything you have. Because the worst thing that could happen is you have 3 Minas stacked up, but you hit the base and you have no Rodeos stacked up. You have barely any Thaumaturges stacked up. You don't have your Run Wolf up there in time. So make sure you do have your units in a very good pace walking into the base, because once that base hit happens, you just push very hard if you don't have your crowd control units up there in time. Now if you do have 4 or 5 rodeo cats when you do hit the base, and you do have your 3 Minas there as well, and your Run Wolf is there too, this is when it becomes a pretty big joke, I could say, because you'll be able to crowd control Relic Bun very nicely, because Modern Cat is very nice against Relic Bun. Having the weaken makes it even more effective against Relic Bun. You're gonna routinely have Zamboni in there to stop Relic Bun as well. And of course, we can't forget the Rodeo stack you're gonna have there as well. Now, Urden Wolf can cuck you here if she does get too many knockbacks, so keep that in mind. That is why Musashi is a nicer option, because freeze is a much better crowd control effect than knockback, especially when you're fighting this close to the base, constantly moving into Relic Bun with every knockback. But also keep in mind that Urden Wolf can help you from Relic Bun pushing hard. Let's say your Rodeo stack doesn't slow proc and Relic Bun starts pushing, you can get that knockback to put him back in his place and let your Rodeo stack get to work once again. And you can also see why Mina and Thaumaturge is so very helpful in this part of the stage, because once you do start eventually pushing too close to Relic Bun and start taking those hits, once Relic Bun is weakened, you can afford to take a couple hits and not let your whole stack just completely die. It lets your units reposition without taking too much damage, and just like that, Relic Bun goes down. And yeah, that is a pretty easy way to beat the level. Only difficult part being setting up before you hit the base, because if you do that correctly, you won't have an issue once you do hit the base. But yeah, let's move on into the second lineup, and that is of course the one and only Cyberpunk. But hey, we got an XP drop, pretty nice. Now of course, Cyberpunk. This is pretty similar to the Mina strat, but of course, Cyberpunk is a much superior crowd control unit. So with Cyberpunk, we won't need Rodeo, so that opens up a spot, and of course, we fill that spot with Slapsticks. Slapsticks should be the first true form you get once you do beat Growing Strange. It does make the level a lot more easy, and it does help very much with the doges. And we just got regular Urden Wolf this time, because just to show that Cyberpunk really is enough for this stage. Now I'm not saying 2 Cyberpunks is enough, because if you do not have any slow talents on Cyberpunk, not even 1 slow talent, it does make a very massive difference. So if you don't have 1 or 2 slow talents on Cyberpunk, you're gonna need to stack 3-4 Cyberpunks just in case. Now my Cyberpunk has a level 4 or level 5 slow talent, so we don't need to stack that many of them. 2 is pretty much enough. But if you don't want to rely on getting NP and getting those talents, what you can do is also bring Rodeo in this lineup just for some extra security and extra crowd control. And once again, bringing Sniper Cat power up does help, as you can see. Now, stacking Cyberpunks is a lot easier compared to stacking Mina in this stage, because you can afford to make some errors while stacking Cyberpunks, so don't stress out too much. It's pretty much the same thing, but it is just going to take a little bit longer, because if you do want to stack 4 Cyberpunks and be in a very secure spot to beat the level, then it is going to take a while, so keep that in mind. But essentially, just do the same thing until you get the desired amount of Cyberpunks you need to smoothly beat the stage, and that could be anywhere from 3 to 5. 2 if you have talents and you're bringing stuff like Sniper Cat power up or Rodeo. What else you can do in the stage is of course bring Mina in this lineup as well. Now, you won't be able to stack Mina and Cyberpunk too well at the same time, but it is very doable, so keep that in mind. If you do want to go overboard, you can stack Mina and Cyberpunk and really sweep the stage without any issue at all. Now with Cyberpunk, as you can see, we won't need Modern Cat, because Modern Cat is only needed with that weaken crowd control strat, but this time we really got the slow strat, a really reliable slow strat, because Rodeo can get demolished pretty easily if Relic Bun does start pushing hard, but Cyberpunk can completely stop that from happening as long as you have a good front line up there with Thaumaturge and your other units. Now, of course, like I said, if you want to be overkill, you can bring Mina with Cyberpunk, you could bring Modern Cat with Cyberpunk, and a good substitute for Modern Cat is of course Metal Cat if you do have Metal Cat. Very nice staller for the stage. Uber usage, also a very nice option. Of course, Rhythm Wolf is the filler unit here. You can replace with any good Ubers you have. Pretty much any of the Uberfest Ubers work here. Any anti-relic Ubers, stuff like Ragnarok, Amaterasu, Afro, Ganesha, Kronos, a lot of the almighties here. Luffy can do pretty well in the stage, even Shishi, he can do pretty decent in the stage. At this point, you should know which Ubers to use, so yeah, if you do have good Ubers, make sure you do use them. Now if you have Medusa, that could kind of work in the stage, but don't rely on it too much. You can use a research combo with, of course, Modern Cat, and that is very effective. A research combo, level 40 Modern Cat with Rodeo can destroy the stage very easily as well. But yeah, that is, of course, the Relic Bun in-depth guide complete. Drop a like if this guide did help you out. Of course, subscribe if you're new. Join the hashtag Boogle gang. Growing Strange guide is gonna come. Don't worry, I'm working on it. It is a pretty big video because it is going to be the ultimate guide to Growing Strange, so keep an eye out for that. But yeah, as for future videos, UL playthroughs coming soon as well. But yeah, it's been John Boogle, and see ya.